Hello, learner. Welcome back to my class again. Hope your home study is going good. You are with Rani Chaudhary, your lecturer, Zanzibar College of Business and Management. Today we are going to discuss business communication. What is communication? We have to understand what is communication. Communication is neither transmission of message nor message itself. It is the mutual exchange of understanding originating with the receiver. Communication needs to be effective in business. Our topic, business communication. Communications, a sense of management. We know the basic functions of management are planning, organizing, staffing, directing, and controlling. And all of them cannot be performed well without effective communication. It's not possible. Therefore, business communication involves constant flow of information. Business communication is obviously goal oriented. The rules, regulation, and policies of a company have to be communicated to people within and outside the organizations. Business communication is regulated by certain rules and norms. Every organizations have their own house style of communications. In early times, business communication was limited to paperwork, telephone calls, etc., etc. But now, with the advent of technology, we have cell phones, mobile phones, video conferencing facilities, emails, satellite communications to support our business communication. Effective business communication helps in building goodwill of an organization. This is very important. Now, we need to discuss the contents or components of communication process. What are the basic steps? The first is context itself. Context. Communication is affected by the context in which it takes place. This context may be physical, social, chronological, or cultural. Now, the important component is sender. We can call also encoder. Why encoder? Because the sender always use certain coding system to pass the information, and that code only can be decoded by the opposite person, by the receiver. Now, sender or encoder is a person who sends the message. You can know. A sender makes use of symbols. Those are words or graphics or visual aids to convey the message and produce the required response. Sender may be an individual or a group or an organization itself. Now come to the next components. message information. Message is a key idea that the sender wants to communicate. It must be ensured. It must be ensured that the main objective of the message is very clear. Now, next components is medium. Medium means used to exchange or transmit the message. The choice of appropriate medium of communication is very, very essential for making the message effective and correctly interpreted by the receiver. For example, written medium. Written medium is chosen when a message has to be conveyed to a small group. Written medium is perfect if you need to pass any information to a small group of people, while an oral medium is chosen when spontaneous feedback is required. When you need spontaneous feedback, oral medium will be the best. Now, another component is receiver. We can call also decoder. Why decoder? Because the sender use some coding system and we call them encoder. Now the receiver need to understand the code. They need to decode it. Then the communication will be done. Communication will be successful. Now, receiver or the decoder is a person for whom the message is intended, aimed or targeted. The degree to which the decoder understands the message is dependent upon various factors such as knowledge of the receiver, their responsiveness to the message, and the reliance of encoder and on decoder. Reliance of encoder on decoder. And the last component is feedback. Without feedback, no communication will be completed. This is very important. Most of the time we receive the message and we keep it in ourselves. We don't give any feedback. We don't realize to give response. Then that is not a communication. Now, feedback is the main component of communication process, as it permits the sender to analyze the efficiency of the message. It helps the sender in confirming the correct interpretation of message by the decoder. Feedback may be verbal, through words, or non-verbal, in form of smiles, gesture, your postures, any kind of non-verbal activities. It may take written form also. In form of memos, reports, letters, etc. Now, normally we use some language as a code to process the communication. Language as a code. Suppose my mother tongue is English, then my message will use the coding system in English. Now, if my receiver can decode that message if they know English properly, it might be any language. It might be any language. So that language is the code for that message. And receivers need to know how to decode it. That means they need to know that language properly so that they can get that message properly and can understand it properly, and the communication will be done properly. Okay, let's talk about this language English. What is plain English? We can use any language here. Maybe what is plain Hindi? What is plain Bengali? Let's talk about what is plain English. English, after all, is only a code. Put it in your mind. It is only a code which we use to express the thoughts in our head, and a code can only be understood if both parties give the same meaning to the symbols that are used. Words are only symbols. Words in any language, words are only symbols that represent things and ideas, and we attach slightly different meanings to the words that we hear and use. Now, we will discuss the common barrier in communication and how we can overcome it. The common barriers in communication and how we can overcome those barriers. First is perception. We need to eliminate differences in perception. How? There should be proper induction program so that the policies of the company are clear to all the employees. There should be proper training conducted for required employees, like voice and accent training, etc. And the second is use of simple language. Use of simple and clear words should be emphasized. It is must. Always use simple language so that your audience can understand you, can decode you. Third, reduction and elimination of noise levels. Noise is the main communication barrier, which must be overcome on priority basis. Next, active listening. Listen attentively and carefully. If you want to do a good communication, then you have to listen carefully. There is a difference between listening and hearing. The word listening and hearing, there is difference. Active listening means hearing with proper understanding. Active listening means hearing with proper understanding of the message that is heard. Then emotional state, another barriers. During communication, one should make effective use of body language. It's very important. Your body language is a very important thing in a proper communication system. For example, if the conveyor of the message is in a bad mood, then the receiver might think that the information being delivered is not good. Sorry. as a sender, if you are in a bad mood, then your receiver can get that message in a wrong way. Another barriers, information overload. Avoid it. Avoid information overload. Especially in an organization, the manager should know how to prioritize their work. They should not overload themselves with the work. They should spend quality time with their subordinate and should listen to their problems and feedbacks actively. Proper media selection. It is also one important part in an effective communication. The manager should properly select the medium of communication. Simple messages should be conveyed orally, like face-to-face interaction or meetings. Use of written means of communication should be encouraged for delivering complex message. So simple message you can convey through oral communication, and complex message you can use written communications, especially in a business sector, in an organization. And the last but not the least barriers is flexibility in meeting the target. Flexibility in meeting the target. For effective communication in an organization, the manager should ensure that the individuals are meeting their targets timely without skipping the formal channels of communication. There should not be much pressure on employees to meet their targets. Overall, we discuss business communication, how to tackle your employees, how to use communication in a properly structured way. What is communication? What are the main compounds in a business communication? But whenever you are going to do a proper communication, not only in an organization, not only in business, in fact, in our life, don't forget a golden rules. Don't forget a golden rules. That is, engage your brain. Engage your brain before opening your mouth for any kind of communication. Engage your brain first, then open your mouth. I hope you understood the communication in business properly. Let's finish today. We will meet again in our next lesson in the next day.